Have you ever made plans and then told the people you're making plans with, oh, I'm sick, when really, maybe you just wanted to go back to bed?
It might have happened like once or twice.
So does that make you a liar? Let's talk about it.
Hi everyone, I'm Melissa,
And I'm Preston.
and this is your weekly social.
So an interesting report came out about how often in communication we lie. It looked at mediums because there's this perception that because there's more distance between us with the pandemic, everything else that's happened, there's now a separation of people from people, so that lying is rampant. And as a researcher, David Markowitz, took a look and was like, okay, so what's the case? He used a larger sample size, recreated the old study, which is right before the iPhone even released. And it's like, okay, let's look at it now that it's there. As it turns out, what he found was...
We're all liars. We're all liars. Everyone, everywhere. No?
Maybe 10% of the time.
Oh, okay.
Not often.
That's not too
Actually,
bad.
we tend to be honest. Now, between email, text, social media, phone, or video, which do you think we lie the most?
I would think social media, especially on things like Twitter or Facebook.
You would think.
Yeah.
But in the context it was described, no, video chat and phone call were the two things. Things that were not recorded, kind of just free to talk.
Mm-hmm.
Things that couldn't be referenced back were more likely to lie. And even then, at most, out of the sample size, about 12% of it was video chat. Really interesting study that he's like, the data doesn't match this idea that we are constant liars.
Liars as in like lying about where I had dinner. Like I said, I went to the fancy restaurant, but in reality, I went to McDonald's and just put a little bit of extra sauce on my fries to make it fancy. Maybe put some green onions on top. Or liars about just, or in general, like what defines a liar.
It was just communication that was untrue. I said something that was untrue, based on what I interpreted. Which asks another question, if we go back to social media, because that's the in-brain example. Do you have any influencer envy, or have you ever experienced that? You're on Instagram and you see the beach pictures, or the car pictures, or this is what I do all day, every day.
The organized desk and coffee setup that's very clean and neat and organized, and all your folders and files are perfectly arranged. Yeah, I see that. I wish that could be me.
Right.
All the time.
And that desire of, oh, I wish, oh, if only. But as it tends to turn out, that's where we see fabrication exist more. How many of those house I live in is a rented hotel room? How many of this car I just bought is a rented Lambo? All of these things that the perception of success or perception of wealth is more important than actually having it. So in that context, which is outside the purview of the study, are we liars in that sense?
And that's where it's interesting to see, in my opinion, and what I see on my personal account and everything, how these influencers, you have ones that maybe don't tell you everything that goes on behind the scenes. So for the one that does rent the Lambo or does pay that one day or one night at the fancy hotel and just says view for the night and, kind of living that luxurious life. And then there are other influencers who do kind of break that wall a little bit, and they say, okay, this is the post that you see. And yes, everything is beautiful and all of this stuff. Here's everything that happened behind the scenes, like all the effort, all of the, if you're an influencer maybe at the beach and you're posting a photo where you're at the beach, it's like, here's how high I had to sit up, here's me sucking in everything, here's me doing this and that. That's hard because lie is such a general term. Being a liar is so general and in my mind so abstract, because there are the little white lies and then there are the little like surprise lies that are usually held back for a positive reason. So
or even
I don't
at the
know.
time, things that were true that turned out not to be. There's a large discussion at play in the culture, especially with Facebook's in the news every day for something that didn't happen. There's back and forth. Oh, we didn't know what's going on. And the concept of a liar has been brought back to the forefront. When we talk to each other, we're starting to find, no, we're pretty honest with each other in the context of person to person. But as we build ourselves, our portfolios, our personas, our social media profiles, are we playing pretend? So it's an ongoing conversation. So maybe this is a weird week to go through and be like, all right, am I honest about who I am? Am I doing this on purpose? Why do I interact with the digital world in the way I do?
If you're like me and you look around at other people's social media feeds just to see what other influencers and other people in general, like my friends and everyone's doing, you can see the people that will take the time and put in the effort to make their feed look a certain way, have this general aesthetic, whether it's all black and white, whether you have white borders around your photos, or everything's really like floral and vibrant. And then you have other people, which in all honesty, a lot of it's mostly like older family members and those who are not as in tune with social media. Those are the bit more like organic, real, raw, like, yeah, this is what my desk looked like. There's a McChicken right there. And it's a bit more disorganized, it's a bit messy, and that's the clear life picture versus those who take that time to put in that aesthetic. Not to say that that's not their life, because in some ways it is. But also in other ways, there's always other stuff that happens behind that camera, behind this, behind the scene in all of this, which is just a good reminder for everyone. Like, you can have your online presence and you can have your real life, and how those two cross over is essentially up to you. But also it's good for you, for influencers, for your personal brand, for all that you do, to, in the end, as long as what you're doing is holding true to who you are and where your values are at, that's all I can really ask of most influencers. I like seeing that.
As the technology evolves, as we enter what looks to be the next wave of internet going into meta, where our identity is becoming even more involved with our life and our public-facing perceptions, what do lies have to do with it? We'll leave you with that deep philosophical note. And of course, if you want more existential dread or maybe just some uplifting news, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell, and let us know what you think. Does it even matter?
Yeah, we want to know your thoughts. So,
do you keep ghosting people?
No.
Of course not.
I haven't done that.
Never. I have to go cancel an appointment. I mean...
1 second while I go bail out on a reservation. But thank you guys for watching, and we will see you next week for the next weekly social. Bye.
Bye.